Hi guys, so welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we are on our way to the movie theaters to watch DUNE. And like usual, we're gonna give you guys a spoiler review later in the video, but for now we're gonna go to Jollibee and eat some good stuff, good food before the movie. Then we're gonna do review later on. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Don't forget to give it a like, a share, and subscribe, and please be kind in the comment section and enjoy the video. So this is our pineapple cruncher. Adobo rice. This is the chicken tenders.
This is pineapple barbecue.
Pineapple barbecue. And this is the next. Here's the gravy. Jollibee is like short on staff right now, so I'm guessing they're hiring, and I encourage you guys to apply so we can get our food quicker. Spicy chicken.
This is the pineapple barbecue.
So this is the pineapple barbecue chicken sauce or something.
It's like just a tiny hint of pineapple.
I'm having a good one right now. I have the ube pie. So Jonathan in here was saying earlier, he tried mashed potato and gravy in KFC, and it's not the same like Jollibee. So Jollibee has way better gravy and mashed potato. I inhaled that spaghetti. Here's my own ube pie. And we are in AMC Theaters right now, as you can see. What?
I was just checking.
See how beautiful this place is. Are you excited for the movie?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Are you familiar with DUNE at all?
Oh, I've seen like parts of it already.
Like the movie or the miniseries? Because there's a movie directed by David Lynch. I can't remember the year. It's like in the 80s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a mini series that came out on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say 2000s.
Yeah, I've heard parts of it. Like I haven't seen the entire movie, and like I'm not familiar with the entire lore.
Yeah,
So,
I've read the books. It's been a while, but I did just recently reread the first book, so I am up on my knowledge at least for the first movie. And this movie, I already know going in, it's not going to be the full story of the first book. I don't know at what point it cuts off, but do be prepared for that. Going in, this is the ending might feel weird because this is definitely, from what I've been told, a part one.
Really? Well, I'm excited. I haven't seen Dune, so I don't know what to expect. I'm
What
gonna
do
be
you
surprised.
know about the story? Just
There,
anything?
there's big worms.
Big worms.
They make spices. They make spices.
There's spices.
They have cult
It's
people.
not so much.
They have cult people
Kind of.
on this
Yeah.
planet, desert planet.
Yeah, you could say that.
But it's not like Star Wars. It's kind of like Star Wars in the Fifth Element, I guess.
Yeah, kind
We'll
of.
see. We'll see. I'm
do-
not familiar with the lore. I'm sorry. So I hope I don't offend each and every one of you guys. Hi guys, so right now we are back to give you guys a spoiler review, and like I said earlier, I have a lot of questions because I don't know about the lore and like the movie itself because I haven't seen the original movie, I haven't read the book, so I might have a lot of questions, but I guess you can start with this one because you have more knowledge than me.
First, I wouldn't say I'm like a Dune super fan or anything like that, but I'm pretty familiar with it. It's been a while since I've read the books, but I did just recently reread the first book in preparation for this movie coming out. And I remember seeing the David Lynch Dune movie when I was a kid. I was not a huge fan of it. And I did see the sci-fi miniseries they made on DVD, and they also actually made a sequel to that called Children of Dune. So before we get into questions, I guess let's go with just our general impressions of the movie. What did you think about it?
Well, because here's the thing, I was in the movie theater earlier, and then when we finished watching it, I was walking, outside the theater, and there's this guy mentioning something on someone over the phone, like, oh, I can see it like a trilogy, like Lord of the Rings trilogy or something like that. Because here's the thing, this movie says part 1, so I'm assuming there's more to come. And the reason why I mentioned Lord of the Rings as well, because when I watched Lord of the Rings, I didn't like the first Lord of the Rings, honestly. But when I watched the second and the third one, like, I started enjoying it. So I guess I'm kind of like in this position. I'm not gonna say I don't like it, I just don't understand it. The lore, the mythology out of it, that's the reason why. Like, I'm not gonna say, well, I'm a little confused in some areas, that's why.
Okay, so my first impression of the movie is I really liked it. I thought it adapted the source material very well. There are aspects of the book which are extremely hard to adapt to film, which you kind of have to change. You can't just take the book as it is and just put it onto film. And even before the movie came out, it wasn't something I'd really thought about too much before in the past, but it does kind of seem like the story overall is a little bit more well suited for a longer form of storytelling,
like a TV series,
like a TV series, like a 10.
Like a
I
Netflix
could
TV
easily
series.
see, the first book as a 10 episode series on HBO Max, and then especially going further on with the series having like a larger more time to tell the story. I think the only downside to that is you wouldn't have the same level of special effects you get in a big blockbuster like this. They are coming along with like special effects and what they're able to do with smaller budgets these days, but there's still a difference between like small TV, or not even small TV, but like big production streaming shows versus big production movies. There's still a notable difference in CGI. They are not up there. Now, Amazon is doing a Lord of the Rings TV show, which is supposedly has a huge budget, so we'll see what's happening with that. But even then, that isn't, you would think that would not have the same level of CGI. I don't know. In terms of just the amount of time you have for storytelling, it would seem almost better suited for something like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's one way you could almost explain Dune to someone who doesn't know anything about it. It's Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars. It's more like Game of Thrones in space.
In space, yeah. I was thinking of that. Because here's the thing. They have like these factions for some reason, like kind of like in Game of Thrones, like the houses.
They have houses
or
because it's
like
the same thing where you have an empire. You have an emperor, and you have these different royal houses.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is like the emperor looks like, how can I say, looks, I'm not gonna say look like, but like he behaved like the emperor from Star Wars as well. It's crazy.
Well, actually, you never see the emperor in the movie.
Really? That's not the emperor, the one with like
yeah, we can get to some clarification. That was not the emperor.
What? You see, I told you I'm confused about this. Not confused, but I don't know the lore.
Yeah, we never. I don't think we saw the emperor.
Okay, and here's the thing. There's this faction as well, like Night Sisters or something like that. Kind of reminded me of like the Star Wars Night Sisters or something.
Yeah, the Bene Gesserit is what they're called.
And then there's these people who are, indigenous to Arrakis. That's the name of the planet.
Yeah, Arrakis.
Arrakis. And then I'm assuming they're the Dothrakis of this universe. I don't know. And then there's this other empire, or not empire, like group. They look like regular people. Well, I don't know how to explain it. Because this other group, like with this empire, like they're bald and they look like vampires for some reason. I don't know why. Like the bald people where Dave Bautista is.
Yeah, so those people were House Harkonnen. So you have the two opposing houses, House Atreides and House Harkonnen. But then you also, the movie doesn't really get into it. The Emperor is the head of his own house. Which you never see the Emperor in this movie.
That's the thing, I'm confused.
The guy you thought was the Emperor, that's the head of House Harkonnen. And they were in charge of Arrakis until they just recently had Arrakis taken from them and given to House Atreides.
So that's the thing. I got confused because, like, looking at it, like me, like innocent from all this universe, this lore, like it's hard for me to tell who's belong to who or where, because they look kind of similar to me culturally as well and all of that. Like there's no big difference in, well, I guess like once you focus on it that much, like you can see a little bit of difference and all of that. Kind of like in Game of Thrones, like at least the Dothrakis, you can tell they're Dothrakis, their culture is different or something, but the rest of them, they look like they're from the same, I don't know, planet, should I say, but they just wear different colors or something. I don't know, it's a little confusing. There's no distinct features, should I say.
Yeah, and
but they had distinct abilities. Like this lady, should I say, Night Sisters, they have this Jedi powers for some reason. Like, they do some kind of ray magic, should I say. Remember Rey from Star Wars? They did that, but a combination of like Ventress kind of ability.
Well, not really. They use something called the Voice.
The Force.
And I'm pretty sure Dune predates Star Wars. So, I mean, if you watch other science fiction stuff, or even fantasy for that matter, you're gonna see it's not that odd to see elements inspired by Dune. Yeah, 1965. Star Wars is 1977. So yes, you could even say like something like The Voice could be inspiration for the Jedi mind trick, where you in Dune you have to say it in a specific way, and it just basically the person commands the person to do what you want them to do.
And here's the thing as well. I feel like they shown like different planets as well in this universe, but the only thing they focus on a little more is like Arrakis, should I say? Because they mentioned like some other planets and they look kind of the same to me, should I say? The other one is just raining a lot, so I'm assuming it's a different planet, and then the other one is just stony and like watery or something.
Yeah, they don't really show you much of it, but
they don't
I mean, to
focus
be
on
fair,
it that much.
the novel is called Dune. Dune is another name for the planet Arrakis. It's all about Arrakis.
Why did they call it that? Dune.
Dune. I don't remember if there's a specific reason. I think it's just because it's desert dune.
That's why. And like they discover the spice. Like I heard about the spice before and all of that, but like I feel like they haven't fully explained.
Oh yeah, they definitely did not fully explain what spice does. And
well, they say they use it to like travel through space and all of that, and the indigenous people use it to like.
There's other uses that they did not even go into that are in. Yeah, there's things that like. Yeah, aren't even mentioned in the movie, which I understand. There's only so much time to cover things, and it's just a lot easier in a novel to like cover so much more.
Yeah, but like they said, it's just part 1, so I'm guessing like in part 2, like I'm gonna have a little more understanding on what's going on, because right now I'm just a little confused on like the factions and all.
Okay, so let's start with that. Let's start with what are your questions coming out of this movie, that things you didn't quite understand?
Is this a thing? There's this Night Sisters. Well, for some reason they're from a different faction, and
okay, so who
belongs to who?
The Bene Gesserit are not part of the house system. They are basically, I don't want to say, they're kind of above it to an extent. They influence everyone, no matter what house you are in.
Yeah, I noticed
you could almost think of them similar to like a religious order that is just part of the empire. So it is pretty common for the different members of royal houses to have wives, or not as some of them are wives or concubines that are Bene Gesserit. Paul's mother is a Bene Gesserit.
Yeah, they said that.
So Duke Leto Atreides never married her, but they
had a
he was
together.
Yeah. And there's another character, not in this movie, but who is with a Bene Gesserit, and he married her. So their Bene Gesserit are basically the movie doesn't go into this at all, but one of the ideas is that they use spice to an extent, and they can basically control their bodies.
To what?
To such an extent that they can alter their metabolism, and for instance, at the
kind of like
during the story, when Paul tells her that he knows that she's pregnant, she knew she was pregnant. Not because she took a test, but because she's a Bene Gesserit, she can just sense it.
I mean, I think like a normal person, you can just sense if there's something going on.
No, but she did sense it as like, oh yes, I know I'm pregnant, and I know it's this far along, and I can.
They have that kind of ability. Okay.
Yes.
And how come like, what's the name of this guy? Should I say she hooked up with?
Who
Paul's dad. Paul's dad.
Duke Leto.
Okay, what order or what house does he belong to?
Atreides.
Atreides. And then, okay, what about Dave Bautista?
He was House Harkonnen.
What's the difference between them?
They're just different houses. So you have different royal houses, and House Atreides is one house, House Harkonnen is another one.
Why did they declare war on this other?
So there's a long history between the two houses of being bitter enemies to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those basically generations long feud. And I don't even remember from the books exactly what happened, but it was some conflict that happened, and it's just basically been both sides going after each other since then.
But they're not trying, or they're just exploiting Arrakis at this point, right?
Well, remember at the beginning of the movie, the Harkonnen had been in charge of Arrakis for several decades. But Arrakis was never like the main thing between House Harkonnen and Atreides. It's just the current thing where Atreides is being put in charge of.
Okay. Because like on the original, I've seen like clips of like should I say this deformed creature in a vessel kind of thing. I didn't see that creature.
So they did. Do you remember when they mentioned the guild? So they talk about how spice is required to navigate space. So, to navigate the faster than light travel that they do in the series.
Yeah.
So that thing is part of the guild. So those guys who came out, you only saw them a couple times in the movie. That got they're just the full-on spacesuit thing, and you can't see through their mask at all. Those people, I think, were the guild, and they're the only ones that in charge of space travel. They basically have a monopoly on it. So, in terms of their power, they have a lot of power.
That's the thing. I'm just a little confused with that part. Well, we'll see. Probably once I see part 2 and part 3, then I'm gonna understand like what's going on.
And the idea of that creature is someone. The guild has these. They're called navigators, and they're able to do it, and to navigate through this the faster than light space travel using spice. And the way they do it is they basically are like in a tank of spice 24/7, and it like mutates their body or whatever.
They become addicted to it, should I say? Change them.
That's something the book actually goes into. Is anybody who takes spice is addicted to it, even though they might not realize it. It's not the same kind of addiction, I guess, that like other drugs are, but
so that's how they call it.
It's somewhat of a secret that if you take spice, you are addicted to it.
So it doesn't just change your eye color like in the movie. Remember, like in Arrakis, like they.
If you take enough spice, then it changes the color of your eyes.
Does it change your, should I say, perception to the world around you? Kind of like in Naruto, like it changed the way you.
Yeah. So one of the aspects of spice is that it kind of gives all humans a sort of, I don't know if you would call it psychic, sort of, some sort of psychic powers.
Psionic connection? Do they have psionic connection?
Somewhat, because the book I remember talks about the Fremen, because they have a diet that consists with a lot of spice, because that's what they have to eat. And
that's the only thing available.
And because of that, they're connected in a way.
One thing I appreciate about this movie, I was joking to like Jonathan earlier, because they live on a desert planet. And you know how crazy it is, like they recycle like all the water that they have from your sweat to your spit. They didn't talk about this, but I'm pretty sure they recycle even your urine or something like that, because that's how important water is.
Like people in my neighborhood, they just waste water, and that's why I don't appreciate them for that. But yeah, in here they value water as well. Like it's essential. And this is a thing. I remember like they're discussing this like, oh, they only come here to like get our spice and all of that, but they don't give anything in return. And then they talk to like this other lady. She's saying like, I can offer you like, basically she's offering them the freemen. How do you call them? Fremen. She's offering the Fremen like, oh, wealth and like vast fortunes and all of that if you get us off this planet. And what they're saying is like, what else can you offer them other than the water in your body? Basically, that's how valuable water is in this planet. That's why. And the spice is like very well, it's very abundant on this planet. I feel like it's like just a regular dust. Like you can harness it just like that. Crazy.
Do you have any other questions?
Well, no, I'm just confused with like things. Well, since it's a space movie, how come I didn't see enough space battle? Or probably it's gonna be in part 2. Hopefully it's gonna be in part 2.
I don't think so. It's yeah, they don't. Dune is not the kind of series that has space battles or huge space battles anyway.
Yeah, and like from the way the aesthetics of everything, it looks like it's a big cult movie or something like that.
So
like
I'm just trying to think of there are some things that are not that it does not go into at all, and I'm just curious if you picked up on at like the suggestion or like hint of a couple things. So did you notice that both Duke Leto and Baron Harkonnen, who is the big fat guy with floating around, they both had an advisor who had like this purple stripe on their lip?
Yeah.
And that like when they would think, they would like their eyes would roll back and then they'd pop back in. Do you have any idea what that's about?
No, I told you I'm innocent with this mythology.
Okay. There's two big aspects to that. I'll start with just the one. They are called mentats, and they take spice so that they are able to act as a human calculator.
Okay.
To an extent, they basically have super minds.
So
not just do simple calculations, but they can do like amazing calculations, but also they do a lot of planning and foresight and thinking ahead and like strategizing. And then the question obviously would be, why would they need human computers? Well, in the world of Dune, I don't remember how long ago, thousands or at this point, years ago. You might have noticed they came up with the year 10,000 something. This is far in the future.
Far in the future.
So I can't remember how long ago in the past of Dune, but there was a period of time when robots took over. Then eventually humans overthrew the robots in what was called the Butlerian Jihad. And humans basically made a rule that no machine was allowed to be made in the design of a thinking mind. So they don't have robots. There's no robots allowed in this universe.
Okay, so that's the reason why. Yeah, makes sense. That's the reason why I don't see like machines, even though they're technologically advanced, should I say?
Yeah, because they don't even like even somewhat less advanced AI.
And then yeah, and like for some reason, like I was watching the movie as well, especially when they went to Arrakis, something in the Fremen, that's how you call it. Like for some reason, like they have aspects of like Islamic culture, should I say? And like the way some of them dressed and all of that, and the way they name things, it's just crazy. And it kind of reminded me of like American occupation to like, should I say, Afghanistan or something like that. Like for us, we view it as like liberating them, but for them, they're invading us or something. It's just matter of perspective, should I say? Because like on the main protagonist side, like he thinks he's doing something good for like his house, because that's how he viewed things. But like when he started to like interact with these people, like he's starting to like discover things on like what's going on to like, you know, the entire universe, not just on a single lens. Like you see it on like the perspective of like people from Arrakis or something, kind of like us with like the perspective of like the Afghan people. Probably like for them, we're just in their land intervening with them or something, bothering them basically. And that's the thing, I feel like they call this guy like the Messiah. Why is he a Messiah? The protagonist.
Okay, so
Paul, should I say?
do you remember how they talked about, it hinted on very early on in the movie, that the Bene Gesserit had prepared Arrakis? So what they meant by that is that the Bene Gesserit traveled to Arrakis
a long time ago,
hundreds of years ago, and then what they do is they don't just travel to Arrakis, they travel everywhere, and they'll set up these myths of like a Messiah, but they'll set it up in a specific way so that what will happen is that another Bene Gesserit can come along and just take advantage of that. Because they will know that that's something it's really hard to show in film. That's you can do in the book is take that for instance, that scene where Jessica first got the knife, and then she shocked that woman with the way she said it was like it's from the maker, right? In the book, it's very clear because you get to see her thoughts as it's happening. The reason she knew to say the right thing is because she took the name like the Chris knife and what she was saying, and she like, oh well, because of the language it came from and what it was and what it meant. Oh, that means maker, and then she just said that. So that's how she knew, because those things had been planted.
Basically, they condition other houses into their, should I say, belief system? Not just belief.
No, they plant things around the universe. And the Bene Gesserit are always working on influencing everything from politics to people.
Yeah, I noticed that, because I remember like there's this lady. You say he's not the emperor, but like there's this lady, a Bene Gesserit, should I call her? And like she was in that, should I say, throne room with this not emperor.
That's the Baron.
The Baron, and like she has an influence over him for some reason. Like, don't do this, don't do that.
She's the truth sayer for the emperor. You didn't get to see the emperor yet, because basically he's at the top. So you only see, you got to see his herald at the beginning of the movie, and then you see her. She's the Bene Gesserit who works directly for the emperor. But the Bene Gesserit have their own motives, their own plan for everything, and they're big on this thing. Their ultimate plan has to do with sort of basically breeding to get the right lines to create this one thing called the Kwisatz Haderach, which they also mention in the movie.
The ultimate race. The ultimate person?
Ultimate person. Well, more like, so the thing about the Bene Gesserit is they do a process which I don't think even goes into quite what they do in the first book. But they do a thing with spice to create Reverend Mothers, which is what that other main Bene Gesserit in the movie is. She's a Reverend Mother, and she's a truth sayer. And when they do that, they do have to do a thing that there's a good chance you'll die, and no male has ever survived the process. The Kwisatz Haderach is basically the one person who will male that will be able to do that. So he's, in a sense, a true male Bene Gesserit. I think.
That's right. But yeah, like that's about it, I guess, when it comes to like questions. Because so far, like I'm only touching the surface, so I'm just a little confused with things. Probably in part 2, you're gonna have more explanation. And wait, what about this Asian guy? I remember I saw this Asian guy and he got this mark on his forehead and he looked like male version of Tsunade from Naruto. Like I'm assuming like that has chakra powers in it, but nah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. So that was Dr. Yue.
Okay, is he well, house is he from?
Well, he was part of House Atreides because he was the traitor. He was the one, as you know, they explained in the movie. He shut down the shield. He was the one that the reason why Harkonnen was able to get in, and he is an Imperial doctor. In the books, they talk about this Imperial conditioning he's supposed to have had, which is the reason why they all trusted him, because it's supposed to be impossible to break. Turns out there is a way. So like that's why they didn't see him, they didn't think he would be the traitor. And the book goes into a lot more detail and time about them considering who might be the traitor, because that's a big plot line for the book that doesn't really make it into the movie. Because the Harkonnens deliberately let them know there is a traitor, just so that there's all kind of questioning, and because they let them think that it's Jessica. And of course Duke Leto ultimately doesn't believe it's Jessica, but he decides to start acting like he thinks it might be Jessica to throw the Harkonnens off. Which then later leads that his Mentat, Tufir Hawat, to think it is Jessica after Leto dies, and he manages to make it out alive. And he ends up working for the Baron. From what you've seen so far, if they do end up making part 2, which I hope they do, it's not a guarantee, it's a big budget movie, and it's I don't know how much money it's going to make. But if they do make it into part 2, where do you think the story goes from here?
Hopefully they follow the book, I guess.
No, like what do you think happens? Like just from what you've seen and what you know, what do you think happens?
Well, I'm assuming like the Fremen is going to train Paul in their ways, like like Avatar, like in Avatar, like the last samurai, indigenous people training an outsider, the white guy. But yeah, I just want to see like big battles and all of that, and I want to know more about these worms, these sandworms as they call it. How are they able to produce the spice to begin with? What's in their digestion or something like?
Well, you might get more of the sandworms. I don't know about big space battles though.
Like how are they able to? And that's the thing. How are they able to discover Arrakis to begin with? How are they able to learn about the spice? The entire everything basically.
You might not get that. I don't. You could, but
or probably like in the long run, probably because I know like they just use the spice to like make a lot of money. Kind of like it's just funny. Kind of like when Europeans like go all over the world just to get spice, because it's all about the money, capitalism, and all of that. So I guess it's like a call for capitalism. Like you're gonna exploit everyone and everything just for profit or something. And well, why do you think they cast what's the name of this guy? Timothy something.
Timothy Chalamet.
Why do you think they cast him for this role? What do you think of his acting though?
I think he worked well in the part. It'll be interesting, especially once they do like a time skip, because that's what happens in the book. Because I feel like he works really well for portraying someone who's supposed to be a teenager, but how well is that going to work with translating to him portraying that same character as an older adult? I don't know.
So he's gonna age in this movie, but they're gonna use the spice, right? But I feel like I'm gonna get to know more about this spice. Should I say drug? Well, a spice that they use as a drug and as gasoline as well, for some reason.
Well, not really gasoline.
Or a nuclear energy, something.
No.
To power their computer or something. I don't know.
It's a drug, and then basically the pilots use the drug in order to travel through space.
You see,
to find the route through space.
because they didn't show me any of that. That's the reason why I'm confused. How are you able to use the spice? Like, at least in Star Wars, like, they show us how the lightsabers made. There's this crystal on this planet or something, you know?
Yeah, but you didn't get that in the first movie.
I know, but
there's only so much time. They got a lot of. They didn't even mention the Butlerian Jihad.
That's the reason why probably I'm gonna understand it more once I, watch the second and the third part.
There were just elements I feel like they could have thrown in, but then it would be like that would just be more confusing. Like, what? You didn't say any references to, say, the Orange Catholic Bible. That's a thing in the Dune world.
And it's just funny, I reacted like I was joking to you earlier. Like, I saw this scene, like, Paul, I call him Paul, should I say his home world before he goes to Arrakis or something like that. There's this scene like where like he's on a cliff or something like that with water and like there's spaceships on the horizon, and he dressed up in the suit and kind of remind me of like this music video from Harry Styles called Sign of the Times. I believe I showed it to you before, and like it looks like that kind of scene. It's just crazy, and like from a distance, like the resemblance is like, whoa. I feel like it's a music video shot. It's just crazy. Like, you don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll show you later, probably. That's all. But yeah, so when do you think they're gonna release the second part?
They haven't started filming it yet, so it'll be a little while at least.
And especially with like all these restrictions, so yeah, it's gonna take a while now.
And yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they were able to make not just part 2, but the sequel, Dune Messiah. I don't know.
But yeah, well, hopefully a lot of people can check this movie out. If you guys know more about the mythology and the lore, just feel free to like comment down below so I can get educated and all of that. Just honestly, I'm looking at it on a fresh lens. Like, I don't know anything about the lore 100%. Like, nothing at all. Like, that's why I'm a little confused. Don't say I'm being uneducated or anything like that, because honestly, I'm not really familiar with anything. I'm just curious and like, what is this all about? Dune, because I've seen like not to say I've seen the movie before, like I've been hearing people talk about this even like years ago, even when I was younger. Like, I saw like DVDs of this, but I wasn't able to like check into it as well. That's why.
So one thing I did think was interesting is that there were some characters that were left out.
Well, that's the thing. I don't even know who's left out and, who's supposed to be there, because I haven't read the book as well.
So, from the Harkonnen side, there is an important character who I assume they will introduce in a part 2 if they make it. Who is one of the Baron's nephews. So you saw Dave Bautista's character, obviously, but there's a younger one who is the Harkonnen equivalent to Paul Atreides. And he is the person that the Baron is setting up to be his successor. And so yeah, that is a very important character, and you don't see him at all in this movie. Most of his scenes in this movie would just be the Baron talking to him. I mean, he doesn't really do anything. He does more in the end of the book. But yeah, it was interesting that they didn't even introduce him. Whereas in the book, you see less of Robin, Dave Bautista's character. It's more of him, Baron, talking about tell Robin to do this, or tell Robin this.
Well, for me, here's another question for you, by the way. Why do you think they made it PG-13? Because I can see like some of the action sequence, like I can see it being rated R and like a lot everywhere and like violence and all of that.
I don't
Probably
think
I could have enjoyed it more.
I don't
if
think
was
it
like
needed
that.
to be R. I don't think it would add anything.
Well, I don't know. I just
Especially you have a lot of
I'm just used to like rated R movies now with violence and all of that. So like I don't know. I just probably if they do that, or if they have like should I say not director's cut, but like rated R version of this, because you should see like the fight scene, and it's like some of them are like bloody and like really bad, but they had to like tone it down a little bit because PG-13, so everybody can watch it. Especially that scene with like Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa decapitating everyone because he wanted to like protect Paul or something. And especially that scene with Dave Bautista, he beheaded like multiple people, and like they didn't show that, but
well, I wouldn't really add anything to see it.
it's just an effect, and I don't know, entertainment, should I say? Come on, you watch Joker and you enjoy it. You enjoy the violence.
Yeah, but
in
this
Joker.
movie didn't need that,
Why do you think that is?
because it's not about that.
So I don't know, but it's just my opinion. Like if it was rated R, probably I could have enjoyed it more, the violence and all of that. And yeah, I like space battles, like big battles and all, high budget and all of that. And they barely show the worm up on the second part. No, because that's the thing with like Lord of the Rings. The first Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Rings, there's not like big battles and all of that, so I didn't enjoy it that much. But when I saw like part 2, like part 3, like I enjoy it more, especially like Helm's Deep battle, like the Ents attacking Isengard or something like that, and like all those big battles. I enjoy those. Like it's worth it. You can have my money, it's worth it.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if they make a part 2 if they show more of the battles, because in the book it doesn't really go that much into it. But just like Lord of the Rings, if you read the books, it does not go into detail of the battles like you see in the movies.
And the reason why I mentioned that, like, so you can see like the intensity of like how complicated the problem is, and like how big the problem is, and like it spans like the entire universe. That's the reason why I like big battles like that. Like, because that's the thing, they're talking about like the politics of it, but I don't see like the effects on like let's just say other places. Like they just say like, oh, the Bene Gesserit like have a huge influence in all of that, but they just talk about it, but I don't see like the actual effects of their influence and how influential they are. Kind of like in Star Wars, like when they say the separatists and all of that, you can see their influence, like they invade things.
Yeah, well, the main book series does focus pretty much always on the planet of Arrakis. Just letting you know.
Okay.
And I don't know if they will ever get to the point to where they make an adaptation of like the prequel series, which does a lot more planet hopping, or especially the prequel series trilogy they did that focuses on the Butlerian Jihad and that huge war between the robots and the human revolution. Because that would be much more of a Star Wars like thing, I think.
Well, I like Star Wars, so there's that. Well, it's just an opinion, should I say? An opinion or a suggestion or something like that. So I can have an even more understanding. with the universe, because with this one I feel like I need to for some reason, like watching this movie, I feel like I need to read the Bible as well. Kind of like it's kind of like reading the Bible. Like I don't understand like it fully. Like I might have a different interpretation on things, and there might not be a good interpretation at some point or something. But we'll see. Let's let's wait for part 2, and then let's discuss this again. If I miss out on anything, just feel free to comment. I'll look into it more or something like that. And if any of you guys can educate me more about the lore, I'd appreciate that, because really I don't know anything about this universe until now. Well, I hope you guys enjoy my spoiler review, our spoiler review, and our discussion about Dune Part 1. And I hope you guys can be nice in the comment section as well, and hopefully you can forgive me for my ignorance when it comes to Dune. Like for all the Dune fans out there, like hopefully I don't offend each and every one of you guys. I just don't know, I'm ignorant with this universe right now. But I hope you still enjoy this video. Give it a like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my future video. Bye.